This is the Big Kahuna, the #1. Hi friends, welcome back. Today we're going to talk all about my knitting and crochet and spinning and fleece and yarn and all the fiber goodness library. We're going to talk about all the books that I have, from stitch dictionaries to reference books to pattern books, everything. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to start out with knitting, transition into crochet, and then we will handle all of the spinning and fiber related books at the end. So let's get into this. I have some amazing books in here to recommend to you that you definitely need to add to your library. So let's get going. First up, for knitting specific books, we are going to talk about some stitch dictionaries, and I have two that I use all of the time. And this first one is the Vogue Knitting Ultimate Stitch Dictionary. This is just listed as authored by the editors of Vogue Knitting magazine, and it's amazing. It has a bajillion stitch patterns in here, from cables to color work to just simple knit and purl stuff. I believe everything that's written in here, yeah, they're all assuming you're knitting flat. So if you do want to knit in the round or translate these to working knitting in the round, you will have to kind of have a little bit of knowledge of how to do that. But there are both charted and written instructions, and I love it. You can see I have a bunch of stuff tabbed. I love this one a lot and use it all the time for a little bit of inspiration. But actually, even though this is very, very beloved in the knitting world, I really love this book called 750 Knitting Stitches, the Ultimate Knit Stitch Bible. And this doesn't really have an author listed. It's published by St. Martin's Griffin. And that's all that is in here. So this, again, same deal. This has a ton of different, oh, you're getting some glare. A ton of different patterns in there. Again, from basic knit and purl to lace work, cables, color work. It also has some edgings as well. This only has written instructions, not charted, and for me, I don't mind that. I actually prefer it. I don't like charts personally, but I actually have found some really good stitch patterns in here. Again, you can see that I have this tabbed. I really, really like this one, and I actually like a lot of the stitch patterns that I found in here more than the ones that I have found in the Vogue knitting book. And I think that is totally just a personal preference. I think that's just because of my vibe of what I like to knit and the stitches that I like to make use of. So yeah, they're both fantastic resources, but this one actually is my favorite over the Vogue knitting book. Okay, let's talk about some reference books that are more general reference or for very specific techniques rather than stitch dictionaries. And the first one, this is the Big Kahuna, the #1, the book you need if you want a knitting reference book. This is the Vogue Knitting Ultimate Knitting Book, again by the editors of Vogue Knitting magazine. This book is priceless. It is amazing. It has so much stuff in here. Let's see what our sections are. I'll just read to you the like general chapters, for lack of a better word. So they talk about yarn and supplies, basic techniques, cables, color knitting, lace, circular knitting, directional knitting, advanced techniques, understanding instructions, correcting errors, which is huge, finishing your work. And then there's a whole section about designing. So there's a chapter on designing sweaters, designing shawls, designing accessories, and then there's also embellishments and a section on caring for your knitwear so that you can make things last. And I really think that if you are especially if you are interested in designing. But honestly, if you just want to understand knitting more, this book is the one. This is the one to get. I do think some of the techniques in here are kind of a little bit outdated, based on just like, you know, times change, people approach things differently, and some of the things that are in here feel a little bit older, and people tend to approach certain techniques differently nowadays. I'm seeing this is just like how I'm seeing trends go, but this book will not lead you wrong. I also honestly use this for designing in general, even with crochet pieces, because some of the just some of the ideas in here of how to think about construction of different garments or how pieces are going to fit together, stuff like that. It can help with crochet as well. It can help with doing math, because, you know, stitches and rows, it doesn't matter if you're knitting or crocheting, you can still take the basic math and put it towards whatever you need. So this is the book to get. If you're gonna get one book from this video, this one. Next, I have a couple of specific reference books for increasing, decreasing, and casting on and binding off. So these are not very exciting names. This first book is called Increase, Decrease, 99 Step-by-Step Methods by Judith Durant. This is fine. So I definitely have used this book. It has a ton of different increases and decreases in here, and it shows pictures of how they all look, left and right and centered and all that kind of stuff. But to be honest, I think a very simple Google search or a search on YouTube is probably going to find you the same answers just as quickly. Yes, this does provide a ton of information, but I think it's not a necessary addition. If you want something that you can have on your shelf and grab and look up really quickly, sure, but it's not 100% necessary. It's fine. It's good. Do I use it a ton? Not really. This next one is also one that, again, I have used, but I don't reference a ton, and this is Cast On, Bind Off, 211 Ways to Begin and End Your Knitting by Capcease, I believe. And I mean, it's definitely, I've used this, I have looked through here a lot, because there are some times where I want the edging of my knitting to look a certain way, and I can't exactly figure out search terms to use online. So it's great to be able to open this up and take a look at what a certain cast on or bind off will look like, and then I can just say visually, okay, this is what I am looking for. So I've used this a little bit, but to be completely honest, sometimes for the more complicated cast on or bind offs that are in here, I will find what I'm looking for via a picture, and then I will read the instructions, but usually not fully understand it, and then I will Google it and find a video of someone doing that cast on or bind off, because I am more of a visual learner. I'm not great at following written instructions like this, which is really funny because I only follow written instructions and I don't use charts, but whatever. So sometimes I will use this as a jumping off point, and then I will go and search for that specific technique and find a video of what I am looking for. Next, we are transitioning from some books that include reference material, but also have some patterns. And this is Yarn Substitution Made Easy, Matching the Right Yarn to Any Knitting Pattern by Carol J. Solkowski. And this, I am going to be honest, I have not really read through very much. I flipped through it a little bit when I first got it. It was given to me as a gift, and it definitely does have some good information about when you want to substitute yarn. For instance, if you are making a pattern that calls for a wool yarn and you want to make it in a cotton, it talks about, you know, what the pros and cons of making that switch are, what you can expect from your finished product based on what you substituted in. And this also does have some patterns in the back of it. This is definitely not a set of patterns that I'm particularly interested in making. I definitely am interested in this book more for the yarn information, and looking for, you know, things that you might not have considered when substituting yarn. I'm not super interested in the patterns, but it does have patterns if that is something that interests you as well. And the next two books that I have are both about socks. Now, the first one has a bit more of reference information in it. This is Sock Architecture, Heels, Toes, and Techniques for Knitting Awesome Socks by Laura Neal. And this is kind of like the sock Bible. This is a highly regarded book in the knitting world, and it kind of teaches you so much about sock construction through patterns. So there are all kinds of patterns in here. Ooh, this one's really fun. I really like that. Look at that. I haven't looked through this book in quite a while. It has a little garter strip down the side. I like that. Oh my gosh, it's right here on the cover. That's the same sock. I have not looked through this in quite a while. I'm in the middle of a sock slump at the moment, but I have heard so many good things from this book. I have flipped through it a lot when I'm looking for a different way to approach things with socks, and I do think that I really should try and make one of these, because honestly, socks feel like magic when you make them. When you like turn a heel and stuff, it feels magical, and I just think that having this reference for even more ways to do that is very cool. So if you're really, really into socks, this is a good reference. And then the next book that I have is 52 Weeks of Socks, Beautiful Patterns for Year-Round Knitting by Lina Magazine. And this is a compilation of patterns. There is, as far as I know, I don't really think, yeah, no, there is no like instruction of any kind in this. It is just patterns of beautiful socks. I have not made a single one. Like I said, I'm in a sock slump. And I think both of these sock books were gifts to me that I received like right at the very beginning of my sock slump. But that's okay. It's beautiful. I have flipped through it and admired the pictures, and one day I will make some of these socks. But yeah, if you're really, really into socks, I know a lot of people really like it. A lot of people are trying to make all of the socks that are in this book. I don't have a ton of information to offer about this one. I do want to transition between our knit and crochet a little bit with a couple of very random things. I do have Pom Pom magazine issues 41, 42, and 43. I have enjoyed flipping through these. I do have some of the patterns that I would really like to make, but I'm not good at following patterns from books, so I would like to download the digital copies of them. I was subscribed to Pom Pom magazine for a little while. I had a couple of more of the magazines, and I gifted those away, and these are the only ones that I have left. So that's it for knit and crochet combo stuff. Okay, let's head into crochet. And I also have 2 stitch dictionaries for crochet stitches. This is the Crochet Stitch Dictionary by Sarah Hazel, and I really, really like this one. Also, I really appreciate stitch dictionaries that have a table of contents that gives you a little picture of all of the stitches that are coming ahead, because then you can kind of just look really quickly and find what you're looking for rather than having to flip through the whole book. So again, you can see there are tabs. I have a couple of things saved for future designs and things that I've already started swatching. So I really like this one. You know, a stitch dictionary is not something that you really read from front to back, so I've flipped through it, but I don't have like a lot of information about this. In particular, I have found it helpful and inspiring, and I have a cat wanting to come up on my lap. Come here, Meek. Come on. Let's try and keep talking. The next stitch dictionary I have is the Crochet Every Way Stitch Dictionary, 125 Essential Stitches to Crochet in 3 Ways by Dora Orenstein. And this, if you are a crochet designer, this is the book I recommend. I love this book. Miko, you're scratching the heck out of my legs. Oh my gosh, I love, 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 love this book. I think I checked this out of the library 15 times at least before this book was gifted to me by my lovely friend Mac. And I'm so excited to finally have a copy of my own so that I can stop checking it out of the library and I can just pick it up and reference it whenever I want. What is amazing about this book is not only is it a stitch dictionary, but let me try and find something that like won't be giving away. Okay, here. Let's do like single and half double crochet, because that's something we can find easily. So not only does it tell you the stitch pattern, it gives you the stitches, but it shows you how to increase and decrease. So sometimes it will have you increasing on the edges, and sometimes it shows you how to increase in the center. It's so cool. Oh, like right here, right here. So you have this double crochet page where half double crochet, it shows you how to increase and decrease on the edge, and then this one shows you how to increase in the center. So it's so cool. That's a very rare thing to find in crochet stitch dictionaries, because increasing and decreasing in crochet, especially within patterns, is sometimes not very simple. And so it's really cool to find, you know, some more complicated patterns, stitch patterns that are showing you different ways to increase and decrease. It's amazing. Highly, highly, highly recommend this book. If you like crochet and you want to learn more, if you are a crochet designer, get it. Get it. This is probably my favorite book that I own. Yeah. Probably my favorite reference book. The one I've used the absolute most. Okay. My little side table is, I think I have to stop piling things on here. I don't think it can hold anymore. The next crochet book that I have, and actually the only crochet book left that I have, is Modern Crochet Sweaters by Janine Miska, who is Knits and Knots. And Miko, please don't rub against the camera. Miko, I love you, baby. Please don't do that. It just started raining and all of the animals get really, really clingy when it rains. So, yeah. Anyway, this is strictly a pattern book. All crochet patterns and all, I would say kind of like fall-ish, fall, winter kind of designs. There's not like tees and tanks in here. Miko, baby. Miko, I can't have you doing this. Bub, bub, bub. No, we don't do it. Okay, I'm sorry if the camera has moved around. Somebody's feeling a little menacing today. Anyway, this has a bunch of really beautiful patterns in it. I have made something from here. I don't remember what I made. I did make one of the patterns, I'm pretty sure. I don't remember. Like I said, I don't necessarily, I'm not that great at following patterns from books, so I usually prefer to have them downloaded, but this was a gift from someone very special to me, so I will probably be hanging on to this even though I don't use it very much because I don't know, it makes me think of them. That is all I actually own for crochet books, but I do have a couple more that I would like to recommend because I have checked these all out of the library so many times, and they are on my wish list. For one day I will own them myself, but they are amazing references for crochet if you are interested in design or anything like that. These are all by Edie Eckman, who is a phenomenal resource in the crochet world, and I will pop some pictures of them here. They are Beyond the Square crochet motifs, Around the Corner crochet borders, Every Which Way crochet borders, and Connect the Shapes crochet motifs. They are fantastic. Fantastic. I've checked them out of the library so many times. One day I will own them for myself. I highly, highly recommend all of those books. They're really, really good and very inspiring, and they make you look at crochet in a different way and make you really think about how you want to connect things. So I love them. Did you just hear Miko sneeze? All right, we are into the spinning and fiber section, and I will start out with Yarnitecture by Jillian Moreno. This is called A Knitter's Guide to Spinning, Building Exactly the Yarn You Want, and that is exactly what it is. It goes through the basics of spinning, but then it also guides you for how to create the yarn that you are looking for. And this is highly regarded in the spinning community because it is a book about spinning from a knitter's perspective. So it is really a guide to spinning for knitting. And it is a really, really good resource. I have read this from cover to cover, except for there are some patterns in the back, and I didn't read through the patterns. But I've read through it from cover to cover. It shows so many different examples of different ways to spin things and how it looks knit up. It's amazing. Very, very, very good resource. Taught me a lot. I definitely think I could probably go back to it and get a lot more information every time I picked it up. So love this book. Highly recommend if you are getting into spinning. Then another book that I have about spinning is Get Spun, the Step-by-Step Guide to Spinning Art Yarns by Simeon North. And I actually have not taken the time to go through this one yet. Sorry, I just opened it and saw a guide to making forms on your yarn. So art yarn is something that I am very interested in, but have not successfully attacked yet. So I do want to read this. I do want to read through this and find out some tips and tricks, but I haven't, I've like flipped through and looked at pictures, but I haven't actually read this yet. So I can't say much from a recommendation standpoint on this one, but yeah, it's part of my collection and one day I will get to it. Next up, I have Respect the Spindle by Abby Frankmont, and this is like the drop spindle or supported spindle Bible. This is a super highly regarded book, and if you want to do any kind of spinning that is not on a wheel, like supported or drop or Turkish or anything like that, this is the resource. I have not read it yet. I have looked a little bit through it here and there. Oh my gosh. This is a sign. This is a sign I need to read this. I just opened right up to the page that is how to wind a butterfly, and I am so bad at that. When I try to use my Turkish spindle or my supported spindle, I'm so bad at the butterfly. So anyway, I really want to read this whole thing cover to cover, and I just haven't taken the time to do that yet. So I've looked through for tips whenever I need them, but I want to sit down and actually just read the whole book. And I haven't done that yet, but I'm really looking forward to it. I am excited to get to this and learn some more about specifically drop spindling. I think that's my favorite, but who knows, maybe I'll change my mind. And the very last book I have in my collection is The Field Guide to Fleece by Deborah Robson and Carol Acarius. And this is a pretty pocket-sized guide for 100 sheep breeds and how to use their fibers. So this I mostly use as a reference when I have some new fiber that I want to spin or process and I haven't tried it before. This is not something I really ever plan on reading cover to cover, but I will, you know, say I have some Southdown and I want to look it up. So I just look for the Southdown, or I have some Polworth and I want to look that up. So I look for that and I read about it. It has, you know, 2 pages for each sheep breed, a little bit of history, a little bit about how dye takes, the qualities of the wool, the staple length, all that kind of stuff. And it's useful, helpful little guide. So if you're into spinning and you want to know more about the breeds that you are working with, or you want to do mini breed studies, or you're thinking about trying a new type of fiber, or you want to process some fiber, whatever, this is a great little one to have in your arsenal. I think I heard someone saying once that they take this with them when they go to a fiber festival if they're thinking about buying a fleece, because they can just fit right in your bag, and then if you see a fleece you can kind of quickly look up what you want. But yeah, I like this book a lot. This is kind of a mini companion that goes along with the Fleece and Fiber Source book, which is the holy grail of spinning books, or really fiber books that's out there. So this is a little companion that goes along with that. All right, so that's it. That went smoothly. That went pretty smoothly. I almost broke my little side table. I think if I put any more weight on this, it will be falling apart. But that was a tour through my entire knit and crochet library. There are some books in here that I highly recommend, specifically this Crochet Every Way Stitch Dictionary and the, I'm not going to dig it out, but the Vogue Knitting like ultimate guide. Those 2 books, if you want to just get 2 books, those the 2 that I recommend. Although, okay, so this is a stitch dictionary really, and it doesn't, you know, if you're not a designer, I'm not sure if this is going to have much value for you. Whereas the Vogue Knitting book, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're interested in learning more about knitting, you don't have to be a designer and you can get a lot of information out of it. So that's what I have to say about that. Let me know if there are any glaring holes that you see in my knit and crochet and spinning library. And let me know if you have checked out any of these books and what you think of them. So until next time, take care of you and I will see you later. Bye.